Hello and welcome to another episode of the Please Suck Less podcast. A couple of things, three different topics that I want to talk about today. Some stuff that's been on my mind as per usual. Again, these are my thoughts, my opinions. Some people may not like them. At the end of the day, I don't care. It's my podcast. You don't like it? Don't listen to it. Anyway, volunteer corporations, you have operational side and you have the administrative side, and they should be two distinct separate organizations within the organization, or two separate sides within the organization. And the way I've always been brought up is the operational side, which is led by the fire chief, and he has his deputies, assistants, and line officers. They make all of the operational decisions when it comes to what goes on the apparatus, how we're going to pack the attack lines, tools that go on the ladder truck or the rescue squad or the ambulance, whatnot. Anything that has to do with operations. The administrative side usually takes care of the building and grounds, the money, things like that. Now, you may have different pots of money that the volunteers can actually control, that you would bring up at the meeting. But for the most part, the admin side does just that, administrative stuff. I've run into some organizations where, and I don't know if this is like actually a thing or if it's more of a cop out on the operational side, but any decisions that the operation side wants to make that have to do with operations, whether it's on the fireground or how they're going to operate off the fire engines on calls or things like that, they say they have to run it past the administration the administrative side, the president or whatever, board of directors, to make sure that it's okay to use. I'm telling you right now, that is a terrible, terrible way to do business, because where I come from, a majority of the time, the people that are on the administration side and the board of directors, they're not running calls anymore, or they may have not ever run calls. They were brought into the volunteer ranks as an administrative member. And for you as a fire chief to say, I can't do anything in my organization unless I run it past the administration side or get approval by the board of directors is crap. And it's a terrible way to do business. And in my opinion, that is just going to lead you down a path where nothing's going to get done in the fire department. And you're going to see your members start to roll out when they're going to want to buy the next thing that they need for the apparatus, or to a different way to repack a hose line, or how they're going to run calls, or the gear that they're going to wear, or whatever. You have to run that by the board of directors. What's the point of even having an operational side at that point? What's the point of having a fire chief if the fire chief's not in charge of anything? So it's just something to think about. Maybe there's some corporations out there that run that way, but where I come from, that's a crap way to run. Admin takes care of the administrative stuff, and the operational stuff is run by the fire chief. The admin is run by the president. Now, they should be working together to achieve a specific goal for the fire service or for the fire department, to make sure that the fire department still exists, there's money to pay the bills, and that we're serving the citizens that we're sworn to protect. When it comes to purchasing apparatus, you may see a joint venture there where they'll go to the board to secure the funds in order to buy the apparatus. But at the end of the day, the apparatus is being designed by the operational side, just as an example. So I would find that form of running a business very, very frustrating when it comes to the volunteer side. So just throwing that out there. I bumped into a couple of companies in my travels, and I don't understand how that works. Moving forward a little bit, still sticking with the volunteer stuff, policies. When policies are being developed, whether it's for an all volunteer corporation, you need to make sure that you have representation from the membership, not just one person developing policies and then they push those through. In combination systems where it's career volunteer together, you need to make sure from volunteer side you have representation that are helping to develop that policy. You have a voice. And if the organization or the department is not allowing volunteers to have a voice in that particular to produce policies, or to help produce policies, or to be on those types of committees or whatever, you need to make your voice heard. You need to make sure that you're talking to the powers to be, whether that's on the political realm or whatever. Everybody has a boss. Policies that pertain to volunteers and career, or even volunteers, need to make sure that there's representation on there. You also need to make sure that if you have that representation on there, when a draft policy comes out, you got to read the damn policy. I have run into people that just pencil whip stuff or don't even bother to read the policy. They vote on it and it gets enacted. Then 6 months down the road, they're held to a policy that they never understood or never read to begin with. And it could be a crap policy, but you had your chance under the notice and opportunity to voice your opinions. So if you are in an organization where the policies are actually being made and they put them out for comment, during the draft period, you owe it to your members, if the chief is the person that's reading or whoever he designates, to read the entire policy, ask questions, put it in writing, make sure your voice and concerns are heard, because not all policies are built very well. So they have to go through the draft. So make sure if you've got a voice on the committee, make sure you're being represented, and make sure you're reading the damn policy. Just don't let them push something through 6-7 months down the road. You realize the policy sucks and it kind of pigeonholes you from doing anything because you failed to read it. You owe it to your members. You owe it to your organization to make sure that you're being represented and that the policies are being applied fairly and equally across both career and volunteer. And then finally, I want to talk about fireground operations. And this goes for the career and volunteer. You need to call out when there are things that aren't going right on the fireground. If policies aren't being followed, if there's freelancing going on, if there's unnecessary radio traffic, cowardice, that's a big one. People aren't doing their job. They're just hanging around so they can wear a fancy uniform, or a fancy set of gear, but they don't want to go into where the danger is. Those are cowards, and we don't need them on the fireground. So you, as a member of your organization, career or volunteer, if you see this crap happening, speak up. Make sure that it's in writing. Tell your boss. Tell whoever the next line supervisor is. Make sure that statements are written down. Don't let these things be swept under the carpet, because what's going to happen is it's going to continue to fester. Nobody's going to want to do anything about it. And then the same problems are going to rear their heads on the fireground. And eventually somebody's going to get hurt or killed. Policies are in place for a reason. Make sure we're following the policies. We have a duty to act when we're on an emergency incident. We are there to make sure that we are safe and that we're protecting the citizens. And if you have people that just aren't up to snuff, whether they're career or volunteer, they need to be pulled out of the ranks. I've said it 1,000 times. The hardest thing that we do in the fire service is discipline. It's so easy to pat somebody on the back and say they did a good job, but it's very difficult and it's time consuming to discipline somebody. If you want shit to change, then you need to make sure that it's in writing and be that squeaky wheel. Be the loud voice. Make sure you're heard. Things aren't going right on the fireground. It could be you that's in the crosshairs that's going to end up getting hurt or killed. You owe it to your family to come home. That's all I got to say about this particular topic for this month. But like I always said, do better, suck less. I'm out.